You've probably stood there, haven't you? Before the ruins of Rome, or maybe looking at pictures of the pyramids in Egypt, or just thinking about ancient Greece, and you feel that pull of history.
That sense of scale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How did they get so big, achieve so much, leave these incredible marks? And then, why did they fade or fall apart? It's this huge historical mystery, isn't it?
It really is. You wonder, is there some pattern, some underlying force maybe governing these big cycles?
Yes. Is there a logic to it all? And that's what we're digging into today. We're exploring this really powerful framework for thinking about it all. The idea of civilizational karma.
It's a fascinating lens.
It is. And look, if you know thinkers like Oswald Spengler, who saw civilizations almost like living things with lifespans, or Arnold Toynbee, who talked about how societies rise to meet challenges, well, you're already touching on similar ideas.
That's right. And it connects even deeper, doesn't it? Back to Indian philosophical traditions. You have the concept of yugas, these immense cycles of time.
Right, these vast cosmic ages.
And within that, the law of karma, that actions have consequences. It resonates very strongly.
So why focus on this civilizational karma idea?
Well, the thinking here is that civilizations, as collective entities, generate consequences through their actions. Not just politically or economically, but ethically, ecologically, even spiritually.
It's holistic.
It is. So our mission today is really to unpack this idea, see how it might apply to actual history, and maybe, just maybe, figure out what lessons it holds for us now.
Okay, so let's try and define it a bit more clearly. Civilizational karma. Classical karma, at its root, is that law of moral cause and effect, right? Actions bear fruits.
Principle, cause, and effect, yeah.
At the civilizational level, it's sort of the cumulative weight of a society's whole way of being, its ethics, its institutions, its values. But it's key. This isn't just tallying up individual good deeds versus bad deeds.
No, it's broader than that.
Much broader. It's about the collective orientation. How does a society govern itself? How does it treat its environment? What does it value in terms of knowledge or justice?
Yeah.
That collective direction. It's like a collective moral footprint, maybe,
Right.
or a balance sheet. And that leads us to the two sides of it, merit versus debt.
Exactly. So, karmic merit. That's built up when a civilization fosters harmony, discipline, maybe respect for something sacred or larger than itself. These collective actions generate a kind of positive energy of vitality.
Sustaining its strength, allowing it to thrive.
Right. And conversely, you have karmic debts. These build up through things like systemic corruption, arrogance, hubris, or exploiting people or the planet. And these aren't just abstract ideas, they actively erode stability from the inside out.
Weakening the foundations.
Precisely. So in this view, prosperity and decline aren't just random historical accidents. They're more like the ripening of seeds sown much earlier, long-term consequences playing out.
That's a powerful way to frame it. And when you look at history through this lens, you do start to see this recurring pattern, this cycle. Historians, philosophers, they've often talked about three stages. First is the birth and rise.
Often starts in hardship, or maybe with a really strong creative vision. You see shared struggle, people pulling together, discipline, innovation. That's what generates that initial karmic merit.
Building that positive foundation.
Then you get the peak and flourishing. This is the golden age, so to speak. Material prosperity often balanced with real cultural vitality. Art, science, philosophy, spirituality, they blossom. It's like the reward, the fruition of that earlier discipline.
A harvest time.
You could say that, but then often comes the decline and fall. Abundance can breed complacency, can't it?
People forget what got them there.
Civic virtue might fade. Institutions weaken. Those internal contradictions, maybe ignored during the good times, start to surface and fester. And those karmic debts from injustice, exploitation, neglect, they come due.
How does that show up?
Well, it could be political chaos, internal conflict, maybe becoming vulnerable to outside forces, conquest. It really echoes Spengler's idea of civilizations aging, or Toynbee's idea of challenges that just aren't met effectively anymore. And of course, that Indian concept of the Kala Chakra, the wheel of time turning.
The great cycle.
The great cycle. Creation, preservation, and eventual dissolution.
Okay, this is fascinating conceptually. But let's make it concrete. Let's look at some actual history.
A good idea. Where should we start?
How about ancient Greece? It seems like a classic example. They emerged from this, pretty tough landscape. Rugged, not many resources.
Necessity is the mother of invention, as they say.
Right. It seems to have fostered resilience, ingenuity, and Athens especially.
Yeah.
Wow, that experiment in democracy, the explosion in philosophy, art, science, that feels like immense civilizational merit being built up.
Absolutely. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Their work became this incredible karmic inheritance for the whole world, really. It's endured for millennia.
But then, the decline. Was that karmic too?
You could certainly argue it was. You see the shadow side emerging. Endless factionalism. The city-states constantly fighting each other, those terrible internecine wars. They started relying more and more on mercenaries.
Losing that internal cohesion.
Exactly. Greece essentially burned itself out through internal conflict before Philip of Macedon even arrived. The karmic point here, maybe that incredible brilliance, when it wasn't matched by unity and maybe some restraint, led directly to fragmentation. It made them vulnerable.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, what about Rome? The ultimate empire, perhaps?
Rome. Its rise seems rooted in that mos maiorum, the ways of the ancestors. Strong civic virtue, discipline, especially military discipline, and amazing legal innovation.
Building blocks.
Solid building blocks. The Republic gained immense karmic strength through sacrifice, through unity, and later the empire at its height left this incredible legacy roads, aqueducts, law, governance.
Still shaping things today, but where did the debts start creeping in for Rome?
Well, the cracks started showing early, but they really widened. Think about the massive reliance on slavery, the growing gap between rich and poor. Political corruption just became endemic, and the sheer overextension of the empire.
Spreading itself too thin.
Definitely. But it wasn't just logistical. It eroded the moral fabric, the civic virtue that had made it strong, the shift from republic to empire towards autocracy. That was a symptom of this deeper internal weakening. So the fall of the Western Empire in the 400 CE, it wasn't sudden. It feels like the culmination, the ripening of centuries of this growing moral and political imbalance.
A long, slow accumulation of debt coming due.
Precisely.
Now, here's one that always fascinates me. Ancient Egypt. Its sheer longevity is astounding. Millennia.
It's incredible, isn't it? Their karmic merit, perhaps, lay in this really deep integration. Religion, governance, ecology, they seemed woven together.
Like the Nile shaping everything.
Exactly. Harmonizing the river's rhythms with farming, with ritual life. Think about the pyramids. That speaks to an extraordinary collective vision, a spiritual ambition on a massive scale. That's serious karmic capital.
But even Egypt eventually declined. What were their karmic issues?
Even with that incredible stability, you see recurring issues. Wealth and power getting concentrated in the hands of the few, very rigid social structures, and that made them vulnerable, eventually, to outsiders.
Internal rigidity creating external weakness.
That seems to be the pattern. While they had many cycles of renewal under new dynasties, the final long decline under Persians, Greeks, Romans, it suggests that even immense merit needs refreshing. It can't fossilize or it becomes fragile, a kind of karmic lesson about adapting.
Let's jump to China. Another civilization with incredible staying power, but known for its cycles.
Yes, China is a fantastic example of cyclical rise and renewal, and it's tied so closely to that concept of the mandate of heaven.
Which feels very karmic in itself.
Absolutely. The idea was that a dynasty's right to rule depended on governing justly, maintaining harmony. If rulers became corrupt or tyrannical, things like natural disasters or rebellions were seen as karmic signs that they'd lost the mandate.
A cosmic feedback loop.
In a way, yes. And you see these dynastic cycles, Yu, Han, Tang, Song, Ming, Qing, playing out this pattern. China's enduring strength, its civilizational merit, seems rooted in that Confucian ethos. Order, harmony, respect for education. That allowed it to regenerate even after periods of chaos.
But they had downturns too. What were their karmic debts?
Over time, things like excessive bureaucracy, maybe complacency setting in during prosperous times, sometimes xenophobia or resistance to outside ideas. These created vulnerabilities. Think about the Opium Wars or the eventual collapse of the Qing dynasty. It shows even a resilient system can accumulate these subtle debts.
Okay, one more case. The Gupta Empire in India, often called its Golden Age.
Right, roughly 4th to 6th centuries CE. This period really looks like civilizational karma at its peak, a true flourishing.
In what ways?
Incredible advances in science, Aryabhata in astronomy, the concept of zero, mathematics, amazing literature, Kalidasa's plays and poetry, philosophy thriving. And the governance seemed to provide stability, plus this remarkable coexistence of Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, a very fertile period.
So the fruit of accumulated merit.
It really looks that way, a balance between the material and the spiritual, a deep respect for knowledge, active patronage of learning. But it didn't last forever.
What brought about the decline?
A combination, it seems. Some internal weakening, maybe succession issues, and then significant external pressure, especially invasions by the Huns.
So the karmic lesson there.
Perhaps that even brilliant flourishing needs constant vigilance. You have to guard against internal fragility, maybe complacency again, and be prepared for external challenges. Often those external threats succeed because of pre-existing internal weaknesses, the karmic debts making you vulnerable.
Okay, so we've seen these powerful cycles across different cultures. Rise, peak, decline. But here's something important you've mentioned earlier. It's not just a circle, right? History isn't just repeating endlessly.
No, that's crucial. It's perhaps better imagined as a spiral, because the legacies, the karmic inheritance, if you will, of these fallen or transformed civilizations, they don't just vanish.
They feed into what comes next.
Exactly. Think about it. Rome falls in the West, but its law, its language, its administrative ideas, its eventual Christianization, they profoundly shape medieval and modern Europe. Gupta India's scientific and philosophical achievements nourish later Hindu and Buddhist traditions across Asia. China's dynasties might fall, but the underlying Confucian ideals provide a framework for renewal, again and again.
So the fall isn't just an endpoint.
Not necessarily. In this framework, civilizational karma isn't just about punishment for debts, it's also pedagogical. It teaches. Each decline, each fall is like a lesson etched into collective memory.
A reminder.
A powerful reminder. So we see these patterns repeat, yes, but hopefully on a slightly higher level of the spiral, with the potential for humanity to learn from its collective karmic past.
That reframes the whole idea of decline. It becomes part of a larger, ongoing process.
It does. This concept of civilizational karma, it really offers this deep, moral, almost metaphysical way to understand these grand sweeps of history. And it doesn't replace other theories, Spengler cycles, Toynbee's challenges. It complements them, adding this ethical dimension.
And looking back at Greece, Rome, Egypt, China, the Guptas, the core insight seems consistent, doesn't it?
I think so. That collective choices matter profoundly, whether they're rooted in virtue harmony, justice, wisdom, or in vice exploitation, hubris, neglect. They create these powerful legacies that shape destiny. Civilizations, like people, can't really escape cause and effect.
Align with Dharma. With right action, you flourish. Indulge the negative, you plant the seeds of decline.
That seems to be the pattern suggested by this framework. But as we said, decline isn't always the absolute end.
Right. Because civilizational karma also seems to ensure this continuity. The ashes of one great culture often fertilize the ground for the next.
It's an ongoing story.
It really is. It makes you think humanity is engaged in this vast, ongoing moral epic. And maybe the biggest challenge is whether we'll finally learn from these karmic lessons of the past to guide our future more wisely.
Or are we bound to keep relearning them?
That's the question, isn't it? How does this framework, this ancient idea, resonate with our own civilization right here, right now? Something profound to consider.